Hello, folks. We're going to be getting going in just a few minutes here, but first, I want to make sure that my microphone still works, because whenever we stream to YouTube, stuff always goes wrong, and case in point, it says we're streaming war now, so that's something I'll want to fix right now, too. But first, if you could hear me, can you let me know? Because that'll be a real weight off my shoulders to know that's working correctly. Hey, okay, it seems like it's working. Let's test one more thing before I go back to the countdown and get the last stuff going. So, hey, look at that. I assume people are seeing stuff on the screen now, right? Yes, no, maybe. And there it is, the world building thing's fixed. So, trying out some new stuff today. Thanks for your patience, and I'll be back in just a couple minutes here. Wait, so you're telling me you can hear me right now, even when I'm on the count? Okay, well, that's something else we gotta fix. But what can you do? So I'm gonna mute myself now, and if you want to hear me coughing, I guess you're out of luck. Hello, and welcome to the Orion Arm. I am Mark, the man behind the curtain, and today we are making the Dawn of Victory star map. Now, hopefully everyone can still hear me. We did the test right before we launched here, and I think everything's working, but we're trying some new stuff today. A lot of new stuff, so it's inevitable that something's gonna break, so I appreciate your patience if and when that happens. I'm nervous, you guys. This is a big event for us, but if you have no idea what's going on, here's the general premise. So we're starting our very own kind of world building project or world building setting. This is being used as a case study for our Way of World Building series. So the idea is we talk about world building and then we implement what we've talked about within this setting. So, a lot going on today. We put out an hour-long video, so if you haven't had a chance to watch that yet, I don't blame you. Maybe we should have had this live stream a bit later to give people more time, but what can you do? This is going to be pretty chill. I'm just going to be relaxing, making a star map, so feel free to head in and out and check anything we might have missed, so no rush at all here, folks. Plus, we have the secondary channel up, Firebase Hector is live there too. You've probably seen all these announcements, I don't want to repeat all this stuff. So, how is this going to work? Hopefully, mostly good. I am not an expert in Illustrator, in fact, it's probably my weakest of the Adobe Suite stuff, so we'll see how this goes. But basically, going to be placing star systems, we're going to be figuring out basic geopolitics. We're not just making the map here, we're kind of building the setting as we do it. That's how I like to work. So that's the general plan. I'll do my best to answer any questions folks might have, but the chat's looking pretty full, and I gotta kind of focus on the map in front of me here, so I'll do my best. But my apologies if I miss everything. So I guess I should just get into it, right? No, actually, one more thing here. Let me just put something in chat real quick. Now, if you followed Stellaris Invicta, you might recall we had a document basically with all the events of the game listed out. And we're doing something similar this time around, except this time it's for star systems. So, as I'm kind of creating the map here, if you want to help write down the names of all the star systems we're coming up with, that would be spectacular. Just as an easy way to keep track of something. Of all the star systems. I gotta be honest. I got my, what do you call it? Vodka watermelon right next to me. I thought it was very Soviet inspired, but this might have been a poor idea. Also, I'm nervous as hell, man. This is scary as shit. But let's do this. All right, so first of all, the map. This, of course, was created by Tim Barton, as you mentioned in the live story, in the live video today, rather. And it's spectacular. Now, you will note that a lot of the map right now is just black space. So we're slowly going to be revealing this map as we go along. We're only a few months into this, so there's still a lot of work left to do. And even this portion we have revealed here, we're still going to be updating as we go along. So for example, this kind of like arch thing, I don't know if I'm a big fan of that. We might be changing that around a bit. We'll see. So don't consider this to be the end-all, be-all, chisel into stone kind of thing. Alright, so what else do I need to worry about? Anything else I'm forgetting to mention? Probably not. I'm assuming that link went through to the star map. Yeah, it looks like it is, and people are hopefully able to edit it. So, anything else I'm forgetting to talk about before we get into this? I guess not. It's always funny, I always get nervous doing the first thing in Stellaris Invicta or Worldbuilding, because as soon as you put something down, that's it. But we gotta start somewhere, so let's do it to it. Now, I might need to take some breaks in the middle of this project just to get my references together, because I kind of have an idea of what I want the star map to look like. I have some references I want to kind of pull from here, but actually, how about I explain these? So the idea is I've created a couple templates for what star systems are going to look like on this map. One of the most troubling parts of trying to create a star map is how do you show political territory? Do you do borders? Do you do kind of colored segments? And my solution right now is just these icons for each star system. I think that's the way to do it, so we'll see how that all turns out. But let's bring an independent one, and hopefully this all works. I tested it before, but again, like I said, Illustrator, not my strong suit. Alright, mark the day and time, because we are starting, and Sol is going to go right around here. Yeah, there it is. And again, my apologies if I'm, I am completely unable to keep up the chat, so, my apologies. Redham saying, I'm disappointed by the lack of Canadian galactic superpowers. Well, Canada doesn't really exist, but the United Kingdom does, and Canada's a part of that, so it still counts. So, let me get back to Sol here. So Sol's going to be right around here. And the placement of Alpha Centauri might be one of the most important things we need to consider here, because this kind of sets the, whoops, what am I doing? Sets the scale. How do you, wait, I just realized I don't know how to spell anything. That's going to be Alpha Centauri? That looks right? Alpha Centauri. Yeah, that's probably right. Okay. Oh, Jesus. My lack of familiarity with Illustrator is really showing. I swear I know what I'm doing. Give me a second. I can fix this. Okay, there we go. It's all grouped up. So, I want Alpha Centauri to be very close to Sol, because everyone knows roughly how far Alpha Centauri is from Sol, so by placing it super close like this, I feel like it gives this map a huge sense of scale. That is something that I figured out a little late in the game when I was doing my tests, so hopefully that makes sense. Oh, and got a super chat. Let's put that up here. Draker saying, very sad that no China is represented again in sci-fi. Not necessarily true. So one of the things in Dawn of Victory is not every nation makes it into space the way we recognize them today, but every people makes it into space. And of course, we're still in the early part of this project, so that we might change up a couple things here. But basically, the plan right now for China specifically, and again, really early, don't quote me on this until it's written down somewhere, there might be a couple Chinas. There is a China part of the Comintern in the Soviet Union, a Chinese Soviet Socialist Republic that has kind of supplanted the Russian Soviet Socialist Republic as the premier Soviet. God, we get so many names in these things. It's basically the largest republic in the Soviet Union. But there's also an independent China that's part of the sphere, and maybe a couple other colonies with a bunch of Chinese, large Chinese populations that might have a claim to the Chinese nation state claim, whatever it is. So hopefully that random rambling answer helps a bit. Again, it's hard to talk about all this stuff too definitively when we're still early in the process, but those are the general ideas. Okay, so Alpha Centauri. You know what? If you guys don't mind, I'm actually going to bring up my reference. I don't have it handy right now, and I just realized that might be a problem. So give me about a minute. I'm going to be right back, and everyone just chill till then. Alrighty, thanks for your patience. So much going on today that it's inevitable that, things get a little scattered. But man, it's exciting to be finally doing this stuff. It's been on my mind for quite a while. So, alright. The idea is, and I guess I should talk about the different regions here. Actually, that's maybe a good place to start. But okay, so two major regions are present in this segment of the map. We got the local cluster here. Whoops, that I just deleted. And we got a second region down here that I'm calling the Duanga Deeps. Don't actually know how to spell or pronounce that, but it's a Fiji shark god that I like the name of, so. And you know what? Let's go to full screen. Would that help? Okay, so we got the local cluster up top, and we got the deeps down below, and I'll figure out how to spell that in just a second. Deeps. Again, part of this live stream will be me researching stuff off screen. That's just kind of the nature of world building. So maybe not the most interesting thing to listen to, but that's the nature of the beast. All right, the Duanga Deeps. So those are the two major regions as seen in this part of the map. So the idea behind the local cluster is this is where, humanity was born, spread out from. This is the probably the oldest segment of the Orion Arm in terms of human civilization. But it's also kind of a backwater. People have moved on from Sol after the evacuation. There was these evacuation routes that took people way into different corners of the Orion Arm. So the people who stick around in the local cluster tend to be those who didn't get the jump on the colonization process. The Duanga Deeps, hopefully that's somewhat close to how you pronounce it. I kind of want to be like the Bermuda Triangle. The idea is in Dawn of Victor that each region is going to have a strong personality to it. Star Wars is one I think of a lot when they talk about the corporate sector. And yet I can't tell what separates the corporate sector from anything else in terms of its tone, mood, whatever. It just feels all the same to me. So the idea here, give stuff personality, make each region feel distinct, and hopefully we'll get there. Let's just mess around with this. All right, Duanga Deeps, local cluster. Got it. Again, chat keeps moving. Robin St. Pierre, please don't spam same questions over and over again. That's not really what this is here for. Oh, hey, Another super chat. Thanks so much from Chipmunk of Vengeance saying, nice to see the British Empire still seems to be kicking here. Yes, British Empire, or maybe Imperial Federation, or maybe some futuristic version of the United Kingdom is in the Orion Arm. And how do I hide that? Look at that. Okay, seems like mostly everything's working. Okay, so local cluster. So in the local cluster, we're gonna have a lot of star systems that are like familiar to us, like Barnard's Star, Wolf 359, stuff like that. Oops, gotta group that up too. Again, not super familiar with Illustrator, but so we'll get Alpha Centauri right around there, and let's get Barnard's Star down here. Beauty. And again, I feel super awkward just spending a lot of time messing around with like the little placements of this stuff, but nature of the beast, right? And you know what? I don't like having Sol on that side, so let's go back up to my template here. Hopefully this isn't too annoying to watch with all the jumping around, but... Okay, so let's get Sol on that side. Beauty. Look at that. It's all coming together. The map is basically done. I can't believe how much progress we've made in only 3 hours or however long it's been. Barnard's Star, Sol. Yeah, it looks good so far. All right, let's get Wolf 359 in there. And I am assuming that I'm spelling all these wrong. I'll be going back to this later and just double checking everything, but for now I don't want to waste a lot of time on, you know, spell check. I don't know, right on there maybe? Okay. Okay, Wolf 359, Alpha Centauri, Barnard's Star. Let's add Cygnus. That's another one that I recognize. That sounds familiar. Cygnus. And... question from Bronzer asking, do you miss the GTU? Of course. Anyone who doesn't miss the GTU has no heart. That's what I say. Just love testing out this chat system. Okay, so Cygnus right around there, and let's get Epsilon Eridani in there too. Eridani, probably? Basically what I did, went to Wikipedia, looked up a list of the nearest stars, and tried to pick the ones with the most familiar names. A lot of real-life stars just have these... Whoa, where's my phone going? Unpronounceable names, bunch of long alphanumeric designations, and stuff that doesn't make... doesn't feel very fun to say. So the idea in Dawn of Victory is that a lot of stars have been renamed. Eventually, as we add fictional stars, we'll assume that they were renamed from whatever their original designation was into something more appropriate and easy for people to talk about. Okay, so Epsilon I write down, it's got up there. And speaking of memorable stars, let's get Tau Ceti in there as well. This group system is going to be the thing that screws me up. Okay, there we go. Tau Ceti. And Sirius, that's another one, right? In fact, this is getting a little clogged, so... Oops, what am I doing? Sirius. Why so serious? Nobody knew. Okay, so... this is already looking pretty decent. And let's answer more questions. Mark, how large are you considering each nation to be? Will systems be shared between nations, or a normal and boring one nation, one system? So it's gonna differ depending on where you are. So the superpowers, I don't know about numbers yet. I mean, that's part of what we're gonna be figuring out during these live streams. But the superpowers probably have maybe approaching 50 to 100 systems. It depends. America as a superpower is more concentrated than the Soviets, who, just like on Earth, have spread out way further than maybe was a good idea. Some systems will be shared. In fact, we have a little icon for that. So a system that has multiple nations in it will have this icon. A system that has no recognized nation, or maybe just one, has this symbol. And then we have our nations. And these are just the ones I've been I know that are going to be on the map. This is not a complete list by any means. I think we're looking at a total of 400 nations, something like that. Four superpowers, and then close to 12 great powers, 24 to 36 regional powers, 48 to 70 middle power. It's going to be a lot of stuff. Not all of them will have a ton of information. Some of them will just be little, one-sentence descriptions. I think the houses of Game of Thrones was a comparison I used, where there's the big ones that have a lot of detail, and then there's tons of other smaller ones without as much info. Okay, so I gotta get back to this. I'm getting distracted with all this stuff. Let's add some star lanes, and let's make sure I am handling this appropriate. So I got my regions locked, I got my planets here. Okay, again, not that great at Illustrator, but trying to figure stuff out. Star maps, let's go. Or star lanes, I should say. All right, so that line is barely visible, probably because it is invisible. We'll make that white with an opacity of 33. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Look at that, we're going places. So, the idea behind Alpha Centauri is that that planetary system, rather than Sol, is a real nexus when it comes to hyperspace lanes, which we still need to rename. For now, let's just call them cosmic strings. I like that phrase. So Alpha Centauri, we lucked out because Alpha Centauri is at the center of a bunch of these cosmic strings. So when people were first evacuating from Earth, they went to Alpha Centauri, and then Alpha Centauri became this kind of hub for the evacuation. And then from Alpha Centauri, people split off in a bunch of different directions. So the Americans, can I draw in Illustrator? Oh, look at that, you can draw. Okay, so the Americans and the DF went this way. The Axis and the Germans, I'm not very good at writing. Germans went that way. And the Soviets and the Japanese went this way. And again, much more to this map to reveal. That's handy. Hopefully that was informative. Also, people are hearing the music, right? I tried to get some chill beats in the background, but I never know what's working on live streams. Everything always messes up as soon as you go live. All right, so Alpha Centauri is the hub, meaning... Actually, let's not connect these just yet, because I want to make sure that I got the placement kind of where I want it. I'm trying to have this more or less reflect real-world distances, so Bernard's star should be, within reason, a distance from Sol that makes sense here. Of course, it's 3D space, so we get a bit of leeway, but so here, like Bernard star here, Tennessee here, Sirius here. Something like that. Oh, here's a good one. Arvidus saying the premise kind of reminds me of the story of Freelancer. Freelancer, big inspiration in one respect. Freelancer was the first sci-fi setting I saw that included, I guess, evolved versions of current nations. So in Freelancer, the main factions were Liberty, which was future America, the Rhineland, Kusari, which was Japan, and then Britannia? I think so. And that kind of blew my mind, because I was used to sci-fi being filled with, like, the United Federation of Planets or the Galactic Empire. So the thought that America could make it into space, that was pretty fucking cool. But, yeah, then we take it and put it on steroids. All right. So within the local cluster, Alpha Centauri, Sirius, and Tau Ceti are probably the three big powers. Alpha Centauri, the biggest of the three by a mile. Did I make a thing for them yet? No, I didn't. All right, we'll have to replace their symbol later on with their own symbol. But Alpha Centauri, major power. In fact, I think they're considered a great power. If you haven't seen the wiki.champlain.group, maybe someone can link that. I know it's going to get caught, isn't it? Well, I'll hopefully link it later on. Okay, so we got that. There. Now, because this map is so beautiful, I kind of like using these nebula shapes here to kind of guide the placement of star systems. It's not realistic in the slightest, of course, and I deliberately kind of included these in the middle of nowhere just to break from that a bit at the start, but in the future, I really like the look of placing these star systems like kind of on the edges of these things. Like, it looks really cool. It kind of gives the, it almost makes it look like a maritime map. Okay, what do we got? And thanks to 1,000 Nod for the super chat. Very much appreciated, you guys. So, really, truly is appreciated. I heard you love the standard sci-fi setting, so please give a shout out to Monkey Wrench. It's a great cartoon that needs support. Also, there's a new IP that a dark military sci-fi setting called Morningstar. I haven't heard of any of these things. I haven't heard of Monkey Wrench, Morningstar, or Exodite. So I'm going to write those down. Hold on. Monkey Wrench, Morningstar, Exodite. All right, you got it. And thank you very much. All right, back to the map. All right, so let's maybe just finalize this segment right here, or as close to finalize as we can get it. So Alpha Centauri, there are hubs. Cygnus is a bit further out. Wolf 359 is pretty close. Bernard Star's here. Yeah, that looks good. So, star lanes. We will connect Wolf to Alpha Centauri, and Alpha Centauri to Cygnus, and then we'll... I just broke everything, that's great. Come on, Illustrator, help me out here. Oh, it's because it's intersecting with that, isn't it? Beauty. And another one here. To degree, I want to say, saying in what year the story is supposed to happen. So current year, more or less, is 2285. But just like Star Wars, we want to look at a bunch of different eras of this. One of the things I like about this setting is that, like, the interstellar sci-fi stuff is not the only part of it. Like, we could tell stories that take place in 1944 during the First Infaxi War, or 2070 during the early days of colonization. I'm mainly going to be focusing on the modern era, just because that's a good place to start, but there's no reason that says we can't jump around a bit. And another super chat. Man, I'm not having a lot of time to actually work on this map, but I really appreciate it. Can you integrate the elements in the sci-fi? I don't know what this is. I will look into this later, but thanks for the super chat. Sorry, I can't really look at Discord stuff right now during the middle of the map making. Okay, so Epsilon Eridani, we'll get that around there. Let's get the star lanes going for that one too. I'm pretty much assuming that I'm constructing this in Illustrator wrong, so this is mostly just for reference, and then off stream I'm going to go back and clean up all this stuff, because I am not sure if I'm doing this properly, but it seems to look good so far. Okay. And then we need Sirius and Tau Ceti. Now, Sirius and Tau Ceti are both middle powers, maybe regional powers. So they need to be connected to Alpha Centauri somewhat. Or, what if we did this? What if Bernard's star was connecting to them both like that? Yeah, kind of like that dynamic. And again, nothing set in stone here. Might go back and change some stuff. But I do like the idea that Bernard's star is this another kind of focal point here. Yeah. Okay. Now we gotta start moving down south. And I really like this area. And I kind of want this to be like a major choke point in interstellar trade. So... And speaking of Freelancer, one of the things Freelancer did is star systems that didn't have planets in them usually had, I don't know, is it Latin or Greek or Roman words? Things like Omega, Draconis, I think it's Latin, right? And I want to do a quick homage to that. So we'll have Sigma Draconis. That sounds cool. Yeah, I remember in Freelancer, there was like Tau Epsilon and stuff, and those were always like the out of the way independent systems. All right, and let's get a group of these suckers, because Dawn of Victory is a big setting with lots of star systems, so we can't just have one. Let's get Theta Draconis in there, too. Maybe down there. And one more Draconis. Let's do Delta Draconis. Acaltium Questio. I can never pronounce your name, I'm sorry. Saying Sigma Draconis is a real star system about 18 light years away. I must have known that and forgotten that because it is on my list, but I thought it was because it was a me just trying to reference Freelancer. But me, okay, I guess I'm smarter than I give myself credit for. All right, Sigma Draconis, Delta Draconis, Theta Draconis. These ones are definitely made up, though. Okay, Bernard Star. Something like this, or does Sirius connect to these, or does Tau Ceti connect to this? Because whoever connects to this gets a major boost. And since I want Sirius and Tau Ceti to be kind of on equal footing, I feel like it has to be neither of them. And we'll do Bernard Star. But in the process, that has made Bernard Star kind of this another critical junction, and I'm not sure if I wanted it to be that. Maybe I should change that. Whatever, we'll come back to this. I'm not going to stress too much about this. Something like that. Yeah, and now we got a Draconis cluster. Hell yeah, that's what it's all about. Except it's going to be further on the edge. I want it to be like, I'm imagining like a pirate port in the Caribbean, right on the edge. Yeah, something like that. Okay. You know what? I don't like how it's like going right down like that. That looks kind of lame. Let's try something. Let's go like maybe over here. Let's get a bit closer to maybe around there. And that'll make for a more interesting star lane if it's going off to the side rather than straight down. Yeah, that looks cool. That did break Tau Ceti though. Or maybe Tau Ceti's somewhere else. Maybe Tau is over here? Nah, let's put it back over there. Fans of the original Dawn of Victory map might recognize that some of these star systems are the same. Both Sirius and Tau Ceti were in the original project. Although Tau Ceti was supposed to be like a futuristic version of India, I think, in original DOV. Now, India gets its own arm. Because India is a much bigger player in this setting, as opposed to the original. Okay, and Santana B asking, where did bro get that background? It's so beautiful. This was hand-painted by Tim Barton. I'll try to link his... Actually, it might be in the description of the video. But Tim Barton, one of the best space artists I've ever seen. He did the skyboxes for Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2. He worked on Baldur's Gate 3 just recently. So I don't know what he's doing slumming with us, but I very much appreciate it because the work he's put into this is so incredible. And he was telling me about the process of like creating these nebula shapes, and he's going through like pixel by pixel, you know, just adding these soft lines that collectively look so beautiful. So yeah, if you want to see this in action, let me get that link handy because that's a good one. You can go to where's my map.champlain.group. In fact, I should have linked that at the start. So if you actually want to follow along, you can go to the website right now and see more or less a version of this that's not on a screen. And Eric Paul asking, are there any space nations like the Quarians? Not nations in the traditional sense, but there's definitely nomadic groups. Planets are pretty common in the Orion Arm in this setting, so there's nobody out there who's like, oh, I wish I had a planet, but I'm out of luck, so I gotta wander around for a bit. It's actually the opposite. There's so many planets that governments are willing to sponsor independent groups, corporations will sponsor private groups. Anyone who wants to head off into the frontier and start their own colony, if they have the resources to do it, they can probably find financing and resources to make that happen. But, you know, you got people who just like to live on the fringes of civilization, moving from place to place. Maybe they start giant convoys. I don't know. Something to think about. I'm trying to think of a real-world analog to that, because I always like trying to put stuff into real-world context to see if it makes sense, and then try to figure out how does it work in the future. Okay. Yeah. Kind of liking how this is coming together. Actually, let's move Sirius a bit further away. Part of this is just like making stuff look nice, and there's no real formula to that, right? Okay, what if we gave Sirius a big buff over Tau Ceti? What if they're connecting directly to Draconis? Yeah, I kind of like the look of that a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. That's coming together. In fact, I'm going to put those notes, because I feel that's a good idea to just make it... So... U-S-S-R, and I'm trying to... I wish I had a tablet, although I'm not good at writing, so this would still look ugly. U-S-A, and German Reich. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. So the idea is that, and again, still early in the process, so I don't want to put out too much information that I got to retcon later, but the idea is that these cosmic strings, these slip space lanes, whatever you want to call them, they're not equal. So traveling from here to here might actually be faster than traveling from Barnard's Star to Tau Ceti, because the speed or the distance you can jump is based on the strength of the cosmic string. So the stronger the string, the farther you can go without having to jump again. So if you want to get to Sirius to Sigma Draconis, you might have to jump to there, and you're there. Whereas, you know, Barnard's Star, maybe the string's weaker, takes more jumps, who can say? But the point is, the strongest cosmic strings were discovered first. So that's the ones that the superpowers took. The superpowers have a monopoly on all the best transit routes, meaning they're way further out than anyone else. They have all the best routes, they have all the best trade lanes, and everyone else is playing catch up. So that's the idea behind that. Again, we'll be talking so much more about this, and it won't be me rambling, but actual scripted out content, so you won't have to rely on me half remembering stuff and ideas. But so far, this is looking good. So we got Delta Draconis, Sigma, Theta. This is probably like a big independent trade cluster. In fact, let's give it a name. Oops. This would be the Draconis cluster. Draconis, and I can't spell anything. Draconis. Yeah, all right. Something like that. Again, we'll work on this in more detail as we go along. I don't want to get too attached to anything right now because we're still so early. But something like this. Might need to work on the formatting so this doesn't look quite so cluttered, but yeah, something like that. Bronzer saying, and Johnny Alred saying, more looks like a subcluster. All right. Have it your way. It is now the Draconis subcluster. And I haven't been checking that map. Oh, people are actually adding stuff. Thank you so much, guys. If you don't know what I'm referring to, if you just arrived, we have a list on Google Docs of all the star systems we're adding. So if you want to help, just keep track of all the changes that are being made to this map. I very much appreciate it. Okay. Darth Gavel saying, what about a seed bank science institute safeguarding Earth's foodstuffs? So there's probably not just one seed bank. there's probably multiple. I feel like each superpower has their own reserve of genetic material from Earth that they use to, you know, terraform planets or whatever. I'm throwing out a bunch of random lore bits. I hope people don't mind. But one kind of big part of the Orion Arm is that when humanity first gets out there, they're finding a suspicious amount of planets ready for terraforming that are perfectly suited to human life. And the native life that's on there is super basic. It's not as evolved as anything on Earth. So let's say you're a farmer and like it's 2070 or something and you show up on Alpha Centauri, you might not even need to do pesticides or whatever else in your crops, right? Like you plant wheat and your wheat is just taking over everything because it's spreading so fast and good way to make a living. Alrighty, so hopefully these random lore tidbits are alright. I made a mistake. It's called the Morningstar Project. Okay, thank you, 1000 Knot. I will update my note there. Oh, God, coming in so fast. Wargamer2199 saying, hey, Mark, I see from the wiki and the Firebase video that the United States reverted back to its original flag design of 13 stars. Did they give up on counting? So, if you don't know what this person is referencing, let me get the link in the chat here. Wiki dot... How do I type? Dot champlain dot group. If I spelt that correctly, that will take you to a wiki where we have a basic bit of info on what we've released so far. And that's what this person's referring to. So the flag design for the US, I think, is still temporary. I like the 13 Betsy Ross flag because the United States in this setting has drifted a bit, not back, but it's re-embraced some revolutionary ideas. And I kind of just like referencing that with the flag. So consider everything temporary. But the American flag's definitely going to be different from what we recognize now. Alrighty. So where were we? Japan, USSR, USSA, or USSA, that's what I'm talking about. USA, USSR, Japan. Okay, we got the Draconis subcluster. And now we need some stuff around here. I'm kind of working on the route the Soviets and Japanese took. The idea is that each of the superpowers in the early days had a kind of a joint project on Alpha Centauri, and then the Americans did this thing that kind of ruined the Orion Arm for everybody, which was they set the precedent that the Americans basically claimed their own star system and said, you guys can stick it out on Alpha Centauri, we are having our own planet over here, and that basically created the standard that every nation has followed since, where if you want to be taken seriously, you need your own star systems, you need total control over them, and if you don't have that, then you're not a major player in politics. Okay, so further down this route. So the Soviets and Japanese, they get to Alpha Centauri, they head to Barnard Star, they get to Sirius, they make the big jump to Sigma Draconis. And from there, this is where they really start to get into the main cosmic strings that are really going to take them far across the Orion Arm. So let's start adding some stuff. Now I have a few names of star systems I wanted to add, and I have forgotten what they mean. Dia is one. I don't know where this came from. This sounds kind of Celtic to me, but I'm no expert. Let's see. Dia. Oh, goddess of fertility. This is Roman. Okay, Dia. That makes sense. So we're away from the Draconis stuff, and now we're into a Rome, Latin kind of named area. I think that in terms of star system names, this is always tough, right? Like, what do you call this stuff? But I feel like clusters kind of have similar names. So, like, you know, some guy discovers this area, then he discovers these two places, so they all get named similar places. Then someone finally breaks into the next cosmic string, they make it over here, and by then there's different values and whatnot being expressed in how things are named. So that's the general premise. Dia. Dea, saying Alice Simpson. Dea, comes from Latin. Okay, thank you. Dea. Oh, this is kind of... I like this little thing here. Maybe it's on an island of nebula. Dea. Okay, we'll add another one. Let's get... I don't know what this one is either, but I have written down Orcus. What is that? Orcus is god of the underworld. So it should be somewhere dark, like right there. No, let me right in just in the middle of nowhere. Okay. And nope, that's not gonna work. Let's get a different one. And I know this one, Diana. That has to be a Roman god, right? That sounds very Roman. It could be named after Diana of Themyscira. We don't know. And I have here Sylvanus. That looks like another god name. Sylvanus. Maybe like right there. Maybe like here? Here. And Diadea's here. Diana's kind of here. Orcus is maybe here. The placement of star systems is so tricky. You gotta make them look natural, and yet the more you try, the less natural it looks. So what if we did something like this? So that gets to Diadea. And then you can go there, or there. Something like that, maybe? Except, I don't love that shape. And that's what world building is all about, really. Do you like the shape of things? So, what if I did something like... Whoops, let's move Dea to further out here. What am I doing? What is this? Damn you, Illustrator, my one weakness. And we'll get Orcus closer. Like that, maybe? Move Diana over here. I guess not every planet or every star system should be aligned to the sides of these nebulas, or else it's going to look too fake. But I want to create a little bottleneck here. Just something that starships have to kind of choose their path, right? So... yeah, that's looking a bit better. I tell ya, I think it's way less stressful playing video games on a live stream compared to like just trying to work. It's weird doing your job with how many we got. 389 people watching. Oh my god, the stress is killing me. I can't handle it. Every like thing I mistype, it's just okay. I like that a lot better. I don't know why I'm so focused on this one part, but it's just speaking to me. Something like that? Yeah. Cool. That looks cool. All right, let's get some more Roman stuff over here. Oops, I attached a local cluster to that, didn't I? And this is going to confuse any new people coming in. So Japan and the USSR are this way. They're not actually there. USA is down there. And I guess I can start labeling some other stuff. So if you saw our previews, we have India is right here. And we got Brazil is right here. Hell yeah, that's looking good. Oh, and Italy. And Argentina. Look how good my writing is. God, it's so incredible. And I think those are all the major players in the local cluster. As for the Dwanga Deeps, no major nations in there. It's the Bermuda Triangle. A lot of smaller colonies, a lot of trade ports, a lot of pirate ports. Piracy is kind of a thing here, but they're so close to the Americans that it doesn't really usually work out if you try to do too much piracy in the Dwanga Deeps. Okay. Tolrim asking, where is Poland? Poland is here-ish. Yeah, I think that's about right. Can't show off the whole map just yet. And I'm terrified I'm going to delete one of the things that are hiding it. Okay, there we go. Now everyone in chat's asking about where all the different countries are. Again, not every country makes it into space, but every people makes it into space. And I think I gotta kind of hold off on telling you where all the rest of the countries are, because I don't have any images for them right now. So this is the players in this area. Oh, I'm sorry, but I guess I should mention the UK and France. Hell, I'll do the great powers. So UK and France are right around there. The USSR is over there somewhere. God, my penmanship is so bad. And then Japan is somewhere in here. And then we got the I don't know, we don't have a name for it, but the idea is that you know, Ukraine, Poland, the Baltic states, a lot of the Balkans, these were split up between Germany and USSR while they were on Earth. And oops, I should probably get rid of that "where is Poland" so it's not over the entire stream. So the idea is that the Warsaw Pact, or whatever the version that existed in this setting, as well as kind of the German occupation zone, it really kind of split up. Like it broke apart when the colonization era was happening. So both Germany and the Soviet Union tried to get some of their like puppet states in this area. But as soon as that kind of mini Dark Age happened and contact was lost, there was a bunch of revolutions, a bunch of communists and fascists were killed, and now we have a free Ukraine, free Poland, free Baltic states nation right around here that, unfortunately, history sometimes rhymes and is between the USSR and the GGR again, except this version of the Polish, Lithuanian, Ukrainian Commonwealth, whatever it's going to be called, is not taking shit. And if the GGR or the Soviets tried to invade them, the GGR or Soviet Union would win, but it would be so bad that it would not be good for anybody. So, yeah, Slava Ukraine. Okay, what do we got here? Let's get back to stuff. So, the idea is that these cosmic strings that existed in this area, like there's the super strong one that's taken you in this area, but there's a weaker one that kind of goes up here. And this weaker one wasn't discovered for a while, it wasn't mapped out until right around the midpoint of the colonization efforts. So as soon as this string was mapped, India kind of claimed it for their own. That's one idea. But let's... So for those of you, is the mix between map making and lore talk good? Do we feel like we're missing out on map making, or do we want more lore talk? Again, pilot episode of the stream, so I'm trying to get the balance right. Sylvanus. Let's get... yeah, let's kind of work on the Indian section. So... maybe just put it in the middle of nowhere just to break up the conforming to the edges here. Paripus, that sounds Greek or Roman to me. Again, these are just from my list of names. And let's get Apollo. Always need a place called Apollo. I think that's a law. What'd I do? Illustrator just... oh, that's what happened. We'll get Vesta. That's another Greek, Roman, Latin name. Maybe like right around there. Ripus. Okay. So, oops. God, is my phone... I've tried to mute this thing every 20 seconds, and it's not working. So, apologies if you're hearing my phone go off. God damn. What kind of professionalism is this that the Templin Institute's running these days? Seabass saying, how about Apollo and Artemis? Sibling systems. Yes. Yes, that's a good idea. Okay, wait, actually, okay, There's a little tricky thing we gotta worry about here. I guess I should address on stream. So I'm always happy to take suggestions, but I get a little nervous implementing people's ideas because, you know, we're going to be selling versions of this map down the line, and we need to sell merchandise to support the project. So if people are contributing ideas, just please know that we have to take ownership of them just for this project to work. So contribute ideas at your own peril, and I'm going to have to add that something on screen here because I don't want to get in trouble with anybody. Okay, so yeah, contribute ideas if you want. Just know that we're going to profit off them, become millionaires, and you get nothing. Okay, Vesta, Apollo, looking around here. So if you're cool with that Artemis idea, I do like it. But Artemis, did I spell that right? I don't know. Yep, looks good. Okay. Apollo and Artemis. Got them like right there. Get Vesta a little further out, Papyrus a little out. Yeah, so... Oh, I got an idea. Okay, I figured this out. I got this figured. So, how is this going to work? So, Sylvanus connects to Paripus. Whatever it is. Parappa the Rappa. That. So this is the direction the Soviets went. Actually, let's move that up a bit. Something like that. Okay. Oh, I also gotta hide. I gotta remember to hide these comments. Oh, I also missed a super chat. Let me get up there. Temple of the Gods saying, I love that the secret power in the galaxy is Australia. Hint, hint. You're doing great on the stream, Mark. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, Australia is part of... Actually, is it part of the United Kingdom? Canada is part of the United Kingdom. Is Australia also a part of the United Kingdom Imperial Federation? Maybe not. Maybe the Pacific holdings of the British Empire kind of held together, formed their own state. That is something we'll have to ask about. All right. But let's get back to this. So I kind of like the idea that the Sylvanus Papyrus run was the main one. And then at some point they unlocked the cosmic strings that were hitting... Whoops, what am I doing? They mapped out this area. What have I done? I have created a Star Trek Delta. Okay, there we go. So the Vesta Apollo Artemis segment is out of the way compared to the main run. And you know what? Let's just end of the line. This is where I'm going to pick up later on. When we start moving around here, we'll start from there. But I feel like there was a big jump from there to there. And we'll figure out what end of the line is named later on. Probably something Russian, probably something Slavic, as they were the ones to map out this section of the galaxy. But of course, the Soviet Union isn't just Russian. What am I doing here, by the way? I'm trying to add another star lane. Yeah, the Soviet Union is not just Russian, so we got, you know, Mongolian names. There are some, you know, the Baltic states, Ukrainian. All the Soviet republics are still in there, as well as having independent states, so there is room for variety. Okay, so we'll end that there, but let's move up here now. Let's start working on India. Okay, so India, in Dawn of Victory. India is one of the great powers of the local cluster. If you've been checking the Champlain group social media, India is currently in a Cold War with Brazil. They're both kind of fighting over who is the dominant power in the local cluster. So some other notes I can say about this. India is also the leader. So we have 4 kind of 5 superpowers in the Orion Arm. The superpowers are the United States, the Soviet Union, the German Reich, and the Soviet Union. But that doesn't really, or did I say Japan? German Reich, Soviet Union, Japan. What did I say? Okay, whatever. The point is, 4 superpowers, whatever they are, plus the non-aligned movement. And the non-aligned movement is the 5th superpower, kinda. If you listen to the people in charge of the non-aligned movement, they would say, no, we're not part of the Cold War, it's stupid, it's wasting resources, you know, we should not be taking a side, we can get along with everybody, you know, we can be friends with both the Soviets and the Americans, etc., etc. But a lot of people don't trust the non-aligned movement because they see it as an attempt to basically have India ascend into a superpower status by using the non-aligned movement as kind of like a bridge to get there. Is that true? Who can say? But that's what the critics would point out. Because India definitely has the potential to become the 5th superpower. And even the other superpowers, are they superpowers by themselves, or are they superpowers because they're part of these bigger organizations? So the Soviet Union has the Comintern, Germany has the Axis, the Japanese have the Sphere. So maybe those are the true superpowers, and the nations themselves are these lesser things. Like, is the tail wagging the dog? Is the dog wagging the tail? Who knows? Well, let's get back to India. I thought this part of the map was really beautiful. I really like this segment here. Yeah, especially that like orange thing. I think I mentioned that we're going to be editing this map. Like, this map is still in the early stages, so one thing that might be cool to add is some more of these glowing bits throughout the segment here. That might be cool. Okay, but India, let's get going here. And I don't want to, like I said, nothing here is set in stone. A lot of these names are going to be temporary, and especially when I'm dealing with other cultures that I don't understand or have a lot of knowledge about, there is the risk of just coming up with something really stupid. So we'll come up with some names here, and then later on we'll try to find some Indian sources who can maybe give us a better perspective. But I had an idea for how to name Indian star systems, and let's do this. So the idea is that the Indian government announces that they're going to be colonizing, say, 5 star systems in this area, and that becomes the, some big colonization project. And those 5 star systems are given similar names. And that's how they kind of distinguish each phase of the colonization effort. Hopefully that makes sense. So, I was thinking that the first big Indian colonization project was named after rivers in India. I don't want to do cities, I don't want to do anything linked to political stuff, but I think that in terms of natural formations, rivers, mountains, oceans, these are things that everyone shares. They're not linked to a specific region, right? So hopefully not as controversial as naming this like New Delhi, right? Or New Delhi. So, let's do the Ganges first. Is that the capital of India? I don't know. It could be. The Ganges. And again, not set in stone. Just kind of what we're thinking. I really like this this orange bit. I feel like the Indian capital is like right around here. And I think the Indus is a river too. Indus River? Yeah. Oops, so we'll get Indus. And what I'm looking for here is like the longest rivers. Actually, let's consult ChatGPT. That'll know what to do. List the longest rivers in India, please. All right, and I'm gonna butcher the pronunciations of these, so let's maybe give me some slack here. This one is, what was it called? Brahmaputra, maybe. Yeah, that probably is how you pronounce that. Okay. So ChatGPT has been my secret weapon for for world building. Not necessarily in like a write this for me, but in a like, I don't know how to do research. So you type something in, it gives you like a place to start, and then you assume that ChatGPT fucks everything up because ChatGPT fucks everything else up. But then whatever it gives you, put it into a better source, see if it corroborates, see if it links up, and hopefully you arrive at a good answer. So I'm assuming that ChatGPT did not lie to me when they talked about this being a river. Okay, so what else do we got? Actually, no, the Ganges. Let's get one of... Actually, you know what? I've already screwed this up, didn't I? Because these should be using their symbol, not the normal one. So let's redo that real quick. What am I doing? How come this is deleting the whole thing? There we go. Okay. Ganges, did I spell that wrong? Wait, ChatGPT has information for me. Oh, in India it's called the Ganga, so let's call it that. The Ganga. There we go. Right around there. And maybe that is the capital of India. Who knows? I mean, I guess I should know, but we'll come to that later. Okay, we'll get the Indus. Something like that. Yeah, there we go. And now for the one that I can't pronounce. Brahmaputra. If anyone in the chat is from India or speaks Indian, or Indian's not even a language, is it? What's the language of India? Hindu? India language? I'm really showcasing my ignorance here, aren't I? Hindi, and then Bengali. I don't know. There's languages in India. That's all I know. I think Hindi is the big one. Okay, so we'll get that right around. Oops. Taking apart the roundel. Something like that. Okay. Okay, the Godavari River is on my list here. So let's get... I'm wondering why it's, Huh. Okay, so we got that there. And... Godavari. And some guy, great name, asking, are there any spacefaring nations that don't completely control their home planet? Yes, there are. So we have, actually, a whole symbol for that. So... there is a ton of different planets that are split between multiple nations. In fact, it's very likely that Tau Ceti and Sirius are like that. So maybe I need to change those symbols, but we can get back to that later. Good question, though. Okay, so we're here. And we got Godvari. Let's move it a bit further down. Oh, I like that blue dot. Let's put it right, well, I guess right over it. And another river name is Narmada? I just wish I could figure out why Illustrator is including this giant thing here. What is in this okay, that fixed it. There we go. Armada. And let's get Krishna in there too. Actually, let's get that. Oops. Gotta fix all these mistakes I'm making in Illustrator. There we go. Okay, there we go. There's that. I'm always very tempted to put these star systems like right on the lines here, but that's gonna look too fake if I do it for every single one. So we gotta put stuff further in, further out at times. Krishna. Krishna? Krishna, yes. Joshua JN asking, what about something for the Ottomans? So Ottomans don't exist, but the Turks certainly do. And just like in real life, they control a major trade route, or access to a major trade route. There's a balancing act, right? Because you don't want the nations in DOV to be like direct parallels of nations on Earth, like in terms of how, I don't know, like their defining characteristics, where it's like, oh, Russia is big on Earth, therefore it's also big in space. That's kind of lame. But if you don't do that, then you kind of lose some of the point of including these nations to begin with. So in some cases, nations in the DOV Orion Arm have a lot of the same characteristics as nations that existed on Earth, but in other places, is any of this making sense? I feel like I'm rambling here. The point is, sometimes nations that exist in DOV that are evolved from nation states on Earth are very similar to how they appeared on Earth. Other times, they're different. Sometimes history rhymes, sometimes it goes in other directions, is what I'm trying to say. So, just because Japan has a small territory on Earth, doesn't mean it has a small territory in the Orion Arm. Okay, Indus, Ganja, Brahmaputra, Krishna, Godavari, Narmada. And yeah, let's add some more. Oh, we got some super chats. Okay, what do we got here? Eric Paul asking, did the split happen with India, or is this an India that held on to Pakistan, Burma, Bangladesh, and Ceylon? I mean, you're hitting me with the controversial topics here. Probably the split happened. I feel like the nationalist movements that existed in the Indian subcontinent like aren't going anywhere. But, you know, just because there's conflict in our real world history, it doesn't mean that conflict has to also exist in the Orion Arm. Like, some stuff just happened differently. So, you know, maybe the split happened, but relations between Pakistan and India are actually pretty decent, or better than they are now. Maybe that's a thing. I don't want to put out like hard lore facts or whatever, just because this is gonna take research. It's gonna take a lot of work to figure this stuff out. So these are just my initial thoughts and not how stuff's gonna shake out. And Sanguinius Reborn asking, what happened to the British Empire? Still around, probably has a different name. The UK and France, their colonial empires are mostly kaput in terms of like territorial control. But just like in the real world, the British Empire didn't really go away, it just turned into a bank. But there's also, I don't know, it's a bit of both. I guess the British Empire still exists and that they have a bunch of, the power of the British Empire still exists, if not necessarily the territorial extent, let's say that. The Royal Navy in DOV is a major force, let's say that, I don't know. And Calvin Agar, thanks for the super chat, saying FTL communication and weapons or no? God, you're hitting me with all the tough questions. So, FTL weapons, no. FTL in DOV works like Battlestar Galactica, where you jump and there's no time spent moving faster than light. Like, you know how in Star Trek where you're in warp and you're just sitting watching the stars go by? There's nothing like that. You press the button and then you end up somewhere else. So you can't use weapons when you're moving faster than light. As for communication, yes. I don't know how it's going to work. What was quantum entanglement was like this great thing in science fiction where it's like, oh, how do we explain how people communicate? Oh, well, we'll use quantum entanglement. And then some scientist was like, that's not how it works or something. So I guess that's not actually a good solution. But when it comes to world building, my approach is to like figure out how you want stuff to work first, and then figure out the scientific explanation. And, you know, that's not the only way you got to do it. Some people think about how technology is going to evolve and then world build out from there. But I like doing the opposite. So yeah, it's like, put star lanes where you want, figure out how they're going to work later. It's the tone of the universe and the way the universe works is more important than the scientific explanation, I guess. Oh, this is a good question. What do we got here? Joseph Moffat asking, is there any internet equivalent? Yes, like ×5. The superpowers, it's not really like on Earth where, we have this globalization and you can, we all exist within this global community to one extent or another. In Dawn of Victory, globalization was never really facilitated because Earth was split between these power blocks, and then those power blocks each dominated a different section of the Orion Arm. So, like the USSR, like it's its own world. They have their own internet, their own banking system, their own everything. Same with the Americans, and that's one of the reasons why capitalism and democracy isn't quite as strong in the Orion Arm as it is in our real world, because just the nature of getting from one place to another, it takes so long that you can't have a globalized economy. And the ability, for example, of the United States to impose that kind of order on anybody else is a lot harder because they just simply can't get over to the USSR super fast. So that's kind of the way it works. And again, if you're frustrated that my answers to all these questions are kind of rambling, this is all the stuff we're going to be talking about in greater detail over the course of our series. So we'll have an entire episode dedicated to how FTL works, for example, an entire episode dedicated to geopolitics, an entire episode dedicated to certain factions, etc., etc., etc. Oh, Nero, here's a good one. Asking, I don't know if this was asked, but are there any monarchs? Got any lore about great kings, queens, like an Alexander-type character, but it's a woman? So, God, there's probably... Now, is there a monarchy in the Orion Arm? You're asking the wrong guy, because I hate monarchies. We got a video coming up on the Templin Institute talking about how space monarchies are just the worst. So what kind of person would I be if I put a space monarchy in my own setting? But at the same time, is it realistic to think that monarchies would be completely extinct by 2285? Maybe. I think it could go either way. So I'm going to say maybe. There might be some monarchies. But I'll tell you one thing, they suck and you wouldn't want to live there. Oh, Czar Dude Bro asking, what about constitutional monarchs? Okay, yep, that's how you get me. There are plenty of constitutional monarchies. The United Kingdom, of course, being the big one. A lot of the fascist states removed their monarchs, so Spain and Italy, they're no longer monarchies. But, oh yeah, Japan? Shit, Japan, what am I thinking? Of course Japan. Japan, empire. You got the emperor. So yeah, there is at least one very powerful monarchy in DOV. Although, is it a real monarchy? Because the power of the emperor is, has to be restrained. He never wields it that much, so... I guess. There's monarchies, but it's really a militarist Japanese government as opposed to a direct monarchy. Okay. Again, this is me rambling. When we actually need to formalize this stuff into the setting, I'll be putting a lot more thought into it. These are just my preliminary thoughts, so don't take this as end-all, be-all. This is what it's going to be like. Okay, what do we got? Let's get back to India. Oh my lord, so Thunder Lightning... Asking, thanks for the super chats, guys. Does Space Korea exist? I know the odds are low. No, the odds are not low. Space Korea is in. They are part of the Japanese sphere. Again, still very basic, but the idea behind the Greater Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere, maybe it's just called the Co-Prosperity Sphere now, is that Japan has really needed to become not first among equals, but they're not able to directly control the sphere the way they wanted to. They've had to make concessions to all their allies to keep it together. So the sphere is maybe the weakest internally of the great alliances, just because they like the power they wield on the international stage, but nationalism is of course a major factor, and Korean nationalism and the co-prosperity sphere don't necessarily mix too well. So again, basic thoughts on this. We'll get into it in more detail. Hope that's good enough for now. Oh man, the super chats just keep coming. I did not want to influence that much, but can you give the Dominican Republic a planet? Yeah, I'm sure the Dominican Republic, not necessarily the nation will still exist, but Dominicans will certainly be in the Orion Arm. So, that's the way she goes. Oh my god, look who it is. Tim Barton saying, hey, check your Discord. I sent a map update. Well, I would love to feature that right now, but I don't know if I'm actually equipped to showcase anything. Let's see what I can do here. So that's Tim Barton, by the way, the artist behind this incredible space map. Tim, we have been singing your praises this entire stream. Thank you all so much for being here, and Tim, thanks for popping in too. Unfortunately, I can't show the map update because right now we're hiding certain sections, so we're only revealing this certain section here. Also, thanks for the super chat. You didn't have to do that. Okay, but I gotta get back to making the map. I'm getting distracted by all the comments here. Okay, so we got India, Ganja, Gadvari, Namada. Let's get I have a name here. Tapi. Is that a river? Tapi River? Yes, it is. Okay. All right, almost called it river. Huh. Tapi. So how do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we'll call this. I don't know if I like this name, but I kind of like 7 Rivers. Is that weird for a cluster to be called that? The 7 Rivers. I kind of like the name, but I'm just not sure if it makes sense. Would a government call their planets that? The 7 Rivers colonization campaign. That sounds cool. Okay, yep, I think 7 Rivers might be in. Let's start adding the paths. So, if Ganja is the capital, that means it has the strongest cosmic strings, or that's probably what the reasoning was. But let's just link these up. Something like that, maybe. Oops. Damn you, Illustrator, you're constantly frustrating me. Okay. Except, let's get Tapi a bit closer in. If it's part of the 7 Rivers colonization campaign, it would be closer to the rest of them. Something like that. Yeah, that's looking good. Oh, the Skeptical Apple saying, let's get that up here. 7 Rivers in Hindi is, I don't know how to read that, but pronounced as Sat Narayan. That sounds rad as hell. Let's call it that. I will double check that this is actually what this says. I'm taking your word for it, but I will be double checking this just because I don't want people to think that I'm just taking everyone's word for it. Okay, there we go. Indus. Yeah, let's get that connected up too. Okay, 2. No fill. And 33%. Okay. So I know we have at least one person who speaks Hindu in chat, so thank you so much for helping me out with that. That's very much appreciated. We'll be trying to contact some more experts in the future on all this stuff. Because, you know, I don't know that much about India, but I don't want to get it wrong. So the more time we can put into all this stuff, the better it's going to turn out. So again, this is just the start of the process. Yeah, that looks good. And Handsome Mushy asking, what Photoshop is this you're using? This is Illustrator, which is the piece of the Adobe suite that I am the least familiar with. So that's why I'm making all these mistakes. But this is Illustrator. Normally I work in Photoshop, but I feel like being able to have a vector version of this is probably a smart idea. So yeah. Okay, so we got the Sat Narayan right here. That sounds rad. I like that a lot, the Sat Narayan. Okay, and then, but India controls this whole area here. So let's start adding some more. And I do have some notes here about what I wanted to call these star systems. But what were they? I have no idea. I wish I had written down why I called certain things the way I did, but let's just follow my guide here until I lose track. Kameli. What is Kameli in India? It's a movie. That doesn't help me too much. It's a baby name. Is it a flower? It could be a flower. Oh, it is a flower. Oh, it's jasmine. It's jasmine. Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, I remember what my plan was here. So, when the Indian government was colonizing this area, right? Their first colonization project was the, what do we call it? The 9 rivers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 8 rivers. And then their second big colonization effort was this thing I called the 5 treasures, which I thought sounded cool. And the idea was that rather than naming this cluster around rivers, they named it after Indian national symbols. So jasmine and some other stuff. Hopefully I got these right, but I'll have to do some research as to what some of this stuff is, because I have kind of forgotten since my initial notes. So let's just keep going. And Gordison asking, how do they resolve racism? So, man, racism is going to be a tricky thing for this setting, because, like, obviously it's such a big part of fascist ideology, and I don't want it to be a big part of the setting. It's not, we don't need it, you know? It doesn't make it better. Maybe it makes it more realistic or some shit like that, but it's just, I don't know. It's going to be a tough element to address. So, racism in DOV, it exists. It's just not going to be a major focus for a lot of this stuff. But at the same time, like, we can't pretend this stuff doesn't exist, right? Like, this isn't Star Trek where everything just gets resolved as soon as you make it into space. So it's tricky, and I wish I had a better answer for you. But I guess the answer I can say is, yeah, it still exists, but it doesn't exist in the same way it does right now. Maybe there's new stuff going on. I don't know, but unfortunately, human weakness is something we're going to be bringing into space, and we can't pretend otherwise. But I don't know the best way to handle that just yet, so... yeah. Danya. Okay, what is Danya? What does my notes say here? An Indian actress, but that's probably not it. Oh, it means great, worthy, fortunate, auspicious, happy. Well, whatever it means, it has a good direct meaning. Okay, so... yeah, let's get Shandi. Except I've spelt that wrong. It should be... oh, Shandi was a deity. Or a Hindu deity. Is a Hindu deity. Okay, got it. That's where that's coming from. I am assuming it's not offensive to name a planet this, or a star system this. If it is, my apologies, and we'll rename it, but... yeah. Maybe something like this. So Kameli is there. And then we'll get this around there. Maybe this is over here. Something like that. So we got these two kind of clusters here that are connected by this area. Is kind of what I'm going for. Let's see. Yeah, something like that. Okay, and I got another name that I can't pronounce here, and I'm not entirely sure what it means, so let's bear with me here. K-N-G, Ken... wait, K-A-N-G-C-H-E-N. Kanjunga, what is this? This is... oh, it's a mountain, great, okay, good. I knew I included this for some reason. It's probably one of the largest mountains in India, I'd assume. But let's get a different version of this, because I want that on the other side. Oh my god, the super chat's still coming in. Okay, what do we got? It would be cool if something similar to Operation Alaska happened in this world. All the Finnish people living on some icy rock in the American sphere amuses me. What is Operation Alaska? I don't actually know what that is. Let me look it up real quick. Operation Alaska was a proposed plan by some US officials to take Finnish refugees into Alaska if the Soviet Union conquered Finland. That's kind of wild. I had no idea this was a thing, but that is extremely interesting. So, yeah, I mean, not everyone from Finland lives on an icy rock in the Orion Arm. There's enough planets for everybody, so not directly, but I like that concept a lot, so I'm going to bookmark that. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. That's really cool. And Joshua J.N. asking, what kind of communist government would the USSR have? Are they going hardline Stalinist, or they do have a more reformed government? So, one of the things I want to showcase with the superpowers especially is we'll be putting in the most work into fleshing out their governments. It's not one or the other, it's everything. So there is a Stalinist hardline element in the Soviet Union. There is a reformist element. There is, there's all these different factions within the Soviet government, and who is in control can change from time to time. So I don't know who's in control of the USSR right now, but all these different types of factions exist, just like in real life. So I hope that's a good answer. Oh, hey, what do we got here? Will there be a DOV Chernobyl equivalent? There's got to be, right? I think industrial accidents and communism kind of go together. I wonder, that's interesting. I wonder what a interstellar version of Chernobyl would be, like a warp core. I don't know. That's a good question. I like that idea though. Something happened somewhere. So yes, I don't know what happened though. History Hatter asking, is there a good guy faction per se, or one more ethical than the other ones? Yes, but your mileage might vary on what you consider good. So, something we talked about in the video today is we need to show shades of gray without moral equivalency, right? So the Soviet Union is complex, and not everyone in the Soviet Union is a, dictator, hardliner guy, right? But at the same time, that doesn't make the Soviet Union better, right? That doesn't change anything. It still is a brutal system. So the good guy faction is the West. Sorry. But are they really the good guys? They're the least bad guys, I would say, for sure. But maybe that doesn't make them good. Shades of gray is what I'm going for, but no moral equivalency. So maybe your good guy's going to depend on where you stand here. But maybe Alpha Centauri is the good guy, since they're just kind of hanging out. Yeah, maybe picking no. Yeah, I think the good guys are just the people just trying to make it through, Okay, but let's get back to India. I feel like so many of these questions are I mean, it's my own fault, right? Because the setting deals with so many touchy subjects and things that people feel very passionately about, and I don't want to get anybody angry, but at the same time, lots to talk about. All right, what am I doing? India, let's get back to this. Okay, Chandy, Diana, this mountain I can't pronounce. Oh, the super chat's still coming in. 12 Shazamari asking, cool scenario. It would be cool if silicon-based aliens got introduced, by the way, in this story setting. Yeah, aliens are something we're going to try to... Aliens in DV I can't talk too much about because I got to stay mysterious, but aside from this Infaxi, which is the only real contact all of humanity has had with aliens, there is at least one alien race that kind of is in contact with humanity, except if this is the Orion Arm, this other group of aliens, they're like way on the edge, like somewhere in here. So you can get to them, but it's going to take forever, and maybe you don't make it back. It's an uncharted part of the galaxy, but the Soviet Union has contacted this alien species, but things are not going well. They're in a bit of a bad spot. Don't want to talk too much about it because we still need to hint at it later, but there's aliens, the Soviet Union encountered them, and some bad shit's going down over there. All I can say. Okay. I mean, I can talk about aliens a bit more. Have you ever seen Sphere? That movie from the 90s, I think? Was Jim Cameron involved in Sphere, or did it just feel like he should have been? The point is, there's this line in Sphere where one of the characters is like, you know, if we ever encountered aliens, like, they're not going to be humans with makeup on that look like Klingons or Romulans or whatever. They're going to be like weird things that, you know, we can't really comprehend or interact with, and I like that concept a lot. So the aliens in DOV are not guys with makeup on, right? This is just, it's like weird stuff that you have a really hard time interacting with. I think District 9 might be like a really good example of what I'm thinking, where it's like the prawns, you can kind of interact with them, but they have this different, you know, mindset, way of looking at things that it's hard to get anything meaningful done. At least that's my rambling thoughts. Again, apologies that I can't be more definitive about all this stuff. Okay, more super chats coming in. Thank you guys so much. What powers the ships in this setting? Antimatter reactions, fission cores, fusion drives. My answer is I'm not sure. So I was talking about this earlier, but in world building, my approach is, like, I figure out how I want FTL to function, and then I figure out the scientific explanation later. Because I'm not a scientist. Like, I'm a new media major. I don't know anything about anything. So I don't know. Probably something very futuristic. That's all I can say. Okay, and Collect Panda asking, do you have any design philosophies in mind for the faction technologies, standard kit for their soldiers, architectural styles, that kind of stuff? Yes. Again, still at the, these are just rambling thoughts, but because globalization never occurred in this reality, I guess cultures remain a bit more distinct, and that influences what technology they emphasize. So I guess one example would be architecture. In the real world, you know, the glass and steel skyscraper has kind of taken over everything. In DOV, that's not the case. Architecture is very different and very, between the different superpowers especially, it's very distinct. So, you know, Soviet skyscrapers look very different from British skyscrapers. They look different from American skyscrapers, look different from German skyscrapers, etc., etc. Okay. And you know what? I figured this question was coming, so let's get this addressed right now. How does the Reich in DOV view that mustached son of a bitch? Not well. So the idea of how do we bring the German Reich into a setting like this without it being completely inappropriate, this is the general thought behind the Greater German Reich, or just the German Reich in this setting. During this Infaxi War, a lot of the upper Nazi leadership were annihilated. They got killed in the most gruesome way possible by the Infaxi. And in the aftermath, there was this power vacuum in Germany, and there was a chance for the Reich to abandon fascism and become more democratic and, you know, what we'd want to see from Germany. But they couldn't go all the way. So Germany took a half measure. They retained fascism, but tried to eradicate National Socialism, and that ended up creating this like shadow war that's been going on. It's still going on. It's mostly done, but just like how the Soviet Union has all these different factions in their government, there are some factions in the German government who don't love the liberal reforms that have taken place over the centuries and feel like we betrayed national values and all that shit. But Hitler himself, that bastard mustache man, that fucker, I don't know, he's around in the history books, but his reputation was tarnished when he attempted to, I'm assuming where he attempted to flee Berlin or something and got stepped on by a tripod. That's the basic premise. Obviously, this is something we need to put a lot of more thought into, but yeah, because what we did in the original Dawn of Victory setting was we just said that the GGR had no National Socialist elements whatsoever left, which kind of played into that whole clean Wehrmacht theory in a weird way. So, I don't know. There's a lot of different elements we need to take into account here, but the National Socialists are mostly, almost entirely gone, but their influence remains and Germany suffers for it. So that's the thought. Hopefully that's all right. Man, sorry, I apologize for not getting that much map work done, but the questions just keep coming in. Thoughts on expanding USA? Also, Discord link. I'm sorry. There might be a Discord link in the description of this stream, hopefully. If not, apologies. You can get to the other video we just released today. It's called, like, we're making a science fiction setting. The Discord link is in there. I don't have it handy at the moment, so apologies for that. And TR4BR saying maybe the USSR's industrial accident is them trying to harvest energy from one of their suns in a heavily populated system. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I feel like megastructures don't exist in DOV the way they do in a lot of like science fiction. Like there's no Dyson spheres or like huge stuff, but like people are working on the first step of that. Like what does a Dyson sphere look like when it's like the first step you take towards getting there? Like what is that? Maybe that's where we're at now. Something like that. I don't know. That's some thoughts. Okay, India. I gotta add some star lanes. Okay, so let's connect here to. Wait, how do I want to do this? Actually, let's move some stuff around. I like this mountain name, and I kind of want to make it a big deal. So let's have it be one of the central systems. Something like this. Why is the spacing on that? What's going on there? Oh, that's why. Oh, that's why. Okay, I just figured this out. Sorry, guys. So wondering why this is looking so weird. It's because it needs to be like that. Okay, there we go. So this place is a major star system. We'll put it maybe right around here. Chandi will get you further up. Right on there. And Diana will get you here. And let's add some more. Let's get Rantanalu? Rantanalu? No, Ratnalu, which is a what? What does this mean? I should have made notes, but next time. Yeah, something like that, maybe? Liquid Egg asking, how is Mark doing, like, emotionally? Mark is doing pretty well emotionally. He is just incredibly excited and nervous and stressed, I guess, is the main three. Live streaming is always like, something's always going wrong on live streaming, but combine that with me trying to work, like do some Illustrator stuff, like this is my nightmare right now. I'm trying to not look completely incompetent in front of 455 people, so, you know. My success rate might vary a bit here. But thanks for asking. Oh, I think I missed another super chat a while ago. Let's get that up there. 2 questions. 1, does mecha exist in some form? If not, why specifically? And 2, would Greece have any power? Maybe they followed the US. So, mechs don't exist in the way you're probably thinking of. There's no like BattleTech type stuff or Mech Warrior type stuff. However, there are a bunch of like, what do you call them? Like, you know that robot dog that like who made that? Northrop Grumman? What's the name of that company? The one I can't pronounce? Northrop Grumman. Those guys. You know that robot thing they made? That's about as big as the mechs get. Like, you'll probably have some robotic robot type stuff following soldiers around, carrying gear. There are probably mechs in the industrial sector, you know, like in Aliens, where Ripley has that mover thing. Those are the kind of mechs that exist in DOE. But as for like 50-foot tall things with a bunch of guns, probably not. Because I hate mechs. I have been very clear about this. And yeah, it's costing me a lot, you know, people don't respect my opinion on this, but I have to be true to myself, or, you know, what's the point? All right, let's get some more star lanes here. Okay. Something like that. Oops, that's in the wrong place. Okay, let's get this. And there we go. Yeah, that's coming together. Liking that. Okay. Now we're heading towards the end of the stream here. I think I'm gonna be going for nearly 2 hours. So, anywhere else that you want us to get a start on before we end things for today? Like any other region you want to move on to next? Maybe we could do Brazil. Yeah, actually, I kind of like that idea. Let's move on to the Brazil side of things. All right, so Sigma Draconis, that was like our big choke point system. Now, does Sigma connect us to Brazil, or do we need to go some other way? Let's figure that out. What am I doing? All right, so... No, actually, I like the look of that. Let's get, yeah, like a big kind of crossing the channel kind of thing. Now, I do not have any notes for what Brazilian star systems should be named. So I'm just gonna do some placeholder stuff for now. In fact, I already need to go to here. Okay. So yeah, don't have any notes for what Brazilian star systems should be named. So right now, I'm just gonna use some temporary stuff, but maybe this star system isn't even controlled by Brazil. This might be independent. I am not sure if the Americans would tolerate Brazil controlling this area. I think they'd probably have to do something about that. But for now, we'll leave it as is and find out where the Brazil capital is, or the capital of Brazil. I kind of like this formation here. This is really cool. Like that area right there. So maybe Brazil's capital is there. And we'll get some other stuff. Like I like the idea that clusters are being colonized. So a lot of these star systems appear in these kind of really tight clusters between longer jumps. Yeah, something like that. In fact, I think in one of the test images we put out, we called this area of space the Amazonia cluster. So let's get that locked in right now. In fact, let's do some more regions. I like naming regions. Local cluster becomes Amazonia cluster. Yeah. How do I make stuff italicized? That's what I want to know. In fact, how do I see more of this stuff? How do I expand out the character thing? Why is Illustrator so annoying? All right, as soon as I know how to make stuff italicized, I will do that. But for now... Yeah. Actually, is that the same Amazonia cluster? And let's bring up the Indian arm, too. Yeah, something like that. We'll make this look a bit better as you go along here, but Amazonia cluster there, Indian arms there, the local cluster, the Dewanga Deeps. Yeah, this is looking good. This is looking real good. Oh my god, I haven't saved. Okay, no one touch anything. That's pretty fine. Alrighty. Actually, I do want to save, so give me 1 second. I don't want to break anything, so give me. We're gonna take a quick 30-second break here, folks. I'll be right back. All right, we're good. And the reason I didn't save on stream is because I didn't want the Explorer to show up with the entire map revealed, so that's why I couldn't do it directly on stream there. Okay, so you know what? I'm feeling pretty good about how much we got done. Thank you to everyone who donated over the course of the stream. That was very, very generous of you, and truly appreciated, because that's the kind of stuff that's going to keep the lights on. It's going to let us afford more artwork, not to mention this incredible space map, because like I said, this is still in progress. Tim provided us an update over the course of the stream, which is awesome. But, you know, before we end things, first of all, if you have any more questions you want to rush in at the end here, please let me know. But I feel like we should reveal maybe one more. Oh, did I miss some super chats? I'm sorry. What do we got? Oh yeah, there are. Okay. Hold on. Let's go up here. What do we got? Are there private military companies like Blackwater or the Wagner Group? Oh my God, yeah. It's a nightmare in the Orion Arm. Private PMCs are all over the place. They are rampant. And what's crazy about it is, if you run a PMC in the local cluster or the Dwanga Deeps, you're pretty much in the center of civilization. You can't get away with a whole lot. But if you're running your PMC like out on the frontier, it's the Wild West. Like, there's no rules, right? So yes, PMCs are a huge thing, and they are not always good. All right, what else did I miss? Okay, I think I got everybody. Alrighty. Okay, a couple more questions here. Do people terraform planets? Yes, although I mentioned before that humanity got very lucky in that there is a mysterious number of planets that have environments very well suited to Earth. So terraforming was actually originally done on Earth. So terraforming was first kind of developed in the 1960s throughout the 2070s as a way of reversing the effects on Earth. And then what happened was, as soon as they made it out into the Orion Arm, that terraforming technology that was first developed for Earth gets used on other planets. So that's kind of the idea there. One thought. But yeah, so terraforming, not exactly sure how that process is going to work, but for a lot of these planets, it doesn't require too much. It might just be as simple as, I don't know. I mean, how does terraforming even work? Yes, there's terraforming, but it's mostly quick. The idea of like taking Mars or something and making that into a paradise, that is not possible right now. But if you have a planet that's like miserable, you can make it less miserable, or something along those lines. Okay, so what else have I missed here? This is gonna sound like a silly question, but I mean this genuinely. What is going on with L. Ron Hubbard and Scientology? He was born in 1911. What is it with all these? Like, are you trying to get me canceled multiple times over? We get questions about Hitler. We get questions about. I mean, I guess I kind of stepped into that one, but I don't know. I have no comment. Is what I'm gonna say. Sorry. That's kind of a lame answer. Maybe it exists, maybe it doesn't. I don't want to say anything. Sanguinius Reborn says, any new powers formed during the exodus from Earth, like some smaller Earth states came together to ensure their survival and just stayed that way? Kind of. So a lot of nation states kind of fell apart towards the end of the evacuation, and they reformed under new names, new titles on a variety of different planets. But the big one is one I mentioned earlier, which is Poland, Ukraine, the Baltic states. Individual nations still exist, but collectively they have formed a commonwealth that is somewhere around here. Okay. And James Buse, I want to say, what is the setting's ideas about religion? So religion, I'm not a religious person, so I don't want to comment on it too much and get everything wrong. But I think it's not as powerful a force in terms of geopolitical struggles as it is in the real world. I think religious groups have kind of been overtaken by nationalist groups. So I think the big example is that in DOV, the Pan-Arab movement was much stronger than the Pan-Islam movement. So religions still exist, but how they interact on the world stage is different, and maybe they're not as powerful. I'm not sure. I made a joke about Vatican having their own moon, because I feel like the term the Vatican moons sounds really cool, but I don't know if that's actually something you want to include. Alrighty. And Big Kuza Clip saying there are Brazil name suggestions in the Google Doc. Yes, so immediately after the stream, I'll be going through that document and doing a lot of cleanup on this. There's like a lot of little things I want to do, just making sure that all the names are aligned properly. So I'll be doing that stuff off stream. So by the time we get back to this this map, a lot of stuff might be slightly different, edited slightly. So yeah, thank you very much for the suggestions. I'll try to incorporate them if appropriate. And I'm missing a lot of super chats. Apparently, apologies for that. Temple of the Gods saying, missed my last 2 super chats. I am sorry. I don't know. Sorry. And Super Agnetti asking, do people make, oh, and people are following us on Twitch too. That's kind of nice. Do people make pilgrimages to Earth? Yes. Nobody is allowed to actually land on Earth. It's completely quarantined. But if you want to visit the Earth because you have some sort of spiritual desire to, or some religious reason or whatever, there are, I don't know, pilgrimages, if you want to call them that make their way into the solar system, and you'll be allowed in orbit. But the solar system is under quarantine. Nobody can just get into the solar system. So the wait list to be in orbit of Earth is probably decades long. So if you do plan on making a pilgrimage to Earth, book early. That's my advice. Okay, so I don't want to get caught up in any more super chats here, so I'm going to end this. Now, ideally, I would have set up a poll for this, but I don't know how to do polls in YouTube, so I'm just going to have to kind of eye it. I want to reveal another part of the map before we end things. So, your options for which part of the map gets revealed will be the UK, France, America, and they're in a part of the galaxy called the Sea of Clouds, or Germany, I don't think they have a name yet for their area, or the USSR, or Japan. We can reveal one segment of the galaxy. Now, if you watched the video we put live today, there was a very brief preview of what the entire map looked like, so if you are wanting to check it all out, you can zoom in on that. But whatever part of the map is revealed will be updated on the map.champlain group website, so, you know, there's that. I'm seeing a lot of UK, USA, UK, USSR, UK, Japan. I think America might have it so far. Get your votes in now, folks. UK, Germany, UK, okay. I'm gonna give this about 20 more seconds. Right now, though, I think the Sea of Clouds might have it. And let's go to the full screen for this one. Actually, I should wait until everyone's got their vote in here. All right, I think the America Zone won it, and I should have seen this coming. And let me hide that comment. Sorry there. Okay, so full screen. All right, so the UK and France and America and the Orion Treaty Organization, as we call them, are located in a part of the galaxy called the Sea of Clouds. And I gotta be honest, I'm kind of happy this choice won because I don't know if Tim minds me talking about this, but when Tim first did this portion of the galaxy, I was like, I don't know, might be a bit much. But the more he's added to it, the more I'm like, oh, okay, this is awesome. So this isn't completely done. We're still working on it, but this is how it looks right now. Except I just forgot. I forgot to name them, so I don't know which one I'm revealing here. Shit. Give me 1 second to make sure I don't reveal the wrong one. Sorry, guys. Oh my god, that's embarrassing. All right, here we go. So, presented for the approval of the Midnight Society, I give you the Sea of Clouds. The Americans were the first people to invent FTL drives, so they mapped out all the strongest cosmic strings. So they got the best piece of territory in the galaxy. So they made it up over here. Haven't figured out exactly where... Oops, what the hell did I just do? Okay, where everyone's going to go. But I think America is going to be mostly around here by this cool thing. And I love this area so much. So in the original version of Dawn of Victory, the United States was split into 2 countries. There was the United States and the Pacific States. And I think we're going to bring back the Pacific States for this new incarnation. And if they do come back, they're going to be here because this place is so beautiful. Oh my god. This is one of my favorite parts on the map right now. So I think the Pacific States are right around here. The United States are right around here. And France is right... Oh man, I wish I'd revealed a bit more. France is right here. Whoops, specifically... Why does it keep doing that? Sorry, Illustrator again, not my my strong suit here. Yeah, so France is right here. Because I really love this kind of island thing here. And this area too. France is here. God, it looks so cool. And the United Kingdom is here. This is another part of the map I truly love. So the UK has like a bunch of star systems all throughout this area, and Canada, or the Canadian star systems, probably around here somewhere. But yeah, that is the Sea of Clouds. And hopefully by Monday or so, this will be reflected on map.Champlain Europe. And something I missed a lot of time, like I was looking at this map for ages, right? And I completely missed this thing. So like some shit went down in the Sea of Clouds. There was like a supernova or something. So Tim Barton is the absolute man. He adds in all these like small little details throughout everything. So I have been poring over this map for everything. And I still miss like a ton of stuff. So that's, yeah. And I guess who else is in the Orion Trade Organization? I still got to work out that out, but we had a bunch of Native American nations in the original version of Dawn of Victory, and I certainly want to bring them over this time around, because one of the things that's happened in the Orion Arm is that displaced peoples have been able to find new homelands. So the idea of like a confederacy of Native American states in the Sea of Clouds is pretty cool by my book. So that's one more thing. But God, I just love this area so much. Rad as hell. Okay, so let's bring back the old HUD. And let's see what we got so far. So, not bad for this first session here. So here's how it's going to work. In the future, I think we're going to continue doing these world building streams here on YouTube, just because I like being able to interact with chat in a really effective way and being able to highlight stuff. So that's probably where future streams are going to happen. As for when they're going to happen, I am not sure. Do we do this once a week, once a month, once every 2 weeks? Hard to say. I feel like for the amount of time we spent on this, we didn't actually get that much done. Like we got a bit of India, the local cluster, and there is still so much we got to add. So maybe every 2 weeks. In any case, follow us on socials, Discord servers, all that. We'll be announcing when the next stream's happening. So I'll hopefully see you there. And aside from that, I mean, what else do I got to say? So much was announced today. If you missed any of the announcements, we'll be putting out some reminders next week, but that we put out an hour-long video, basically me rambling about what this universe is all about for close to an hour. A lot of the themes and inspirations behind it. And we have the first bit of lore is up on the secondary channel, so, head there too if you want to check out Firebase Hector. In fact, let me bring up Firebase Hector real quick, because I can do that. Firebase Hector. Still not even showing up in YouTube search yet. Well, that's frustrating. Okay, give me 1 second. I will bring up a link to this no matter how long it takes me. Dawn of Victory, or where are we at? Where are we at? There it is. I knew Firebase Hector was a thing that existed. So, right now, on the Dawn of Victory secondary channel, we have Firebase Hector. Let's get that out of whatever resolution that was in. So yeah, this piece of artwork was done by the man, the Templin Institute's artist-in-residence, Jean-Piquet Lorenz, and we have a 20-minute, more or less, lore video on Firebase Hector and the Three Cities campaign live right now on the secondary channel. If you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to, because I think it turned out pretty awesome, and I love this artwork. And, look at this. The ships move over the course of the thing. I thought it was cool. Alrighty. But thank you all again, one more time for joining me here as we do some world building and figure out what this map's looking like. I will see you probably in 2 weeks for this stream, but I'll be streaming again back to our regular schedule starting next week. So see you all then. I will attempt to push the outro button. I don't know if it's going to work. Everything breaks whenever we try to do new stuff, so we'll see what happens. But thanks everyone for joining me today. Thanks for the super chats. Sorry if I missed anything. And we're right at the start of this process. We got a long ways to go, so hopefully we'll be doing this for a very long time. Cheers, folks.